Good afternoon, esteemed traders and investors. Today is Friday, February 27th. I present to your attention another market review for InstaForex. As always, I'm glad to be here with you today. So, what do we have in the financial news this Friday? We have the latest producer price index, the so-called PPI. Yesterday, on Thursday, some rather weak news for the dollar came out once again in the US. The number of initial jobless claims in the United States, still without any mention of Iran, was officially released. This is once again weak news for the US dollar. I hope the PPI will pull things up today. Let's see what we can trade on the charts. Let's go. Alright everyone, let's begin our analysis by looking at gold, which has recently paid out quite well at the highs. The pair continues to hold on to that significant long breakout that we saw happen 2 days ago on the 4-hour time frame. From a technical perspective, all of this price action looks like a very wild flat consolidation pattern right at the peak. But even if the trading week closes exactly as it stands right now, it will ultimately be seen as just another ordinary bar on the chart. Within the bullish trend, of course, it's interesting to consider buying options here. But it is also very important to understand that there is a dangerous trap forming right here. Lately, it has been full of significant danger for both the sellers and the buyers. Throughout this entire trading week, sellers are getting stopped out here. Buyers are staying here as long as this level is not broken. And here, on the 4-hour chart, we see a clear engulfing pattern. Since yesterday, we have been viewing the overall market trend as bullish, but there just aren't any clear, obvious, or really good spots at this particular moment. These are the places where you could actually risk your remaining investment capital to enter a new position. I don't see any here yet, but the nearest zones are, of course, interesting for a breakout, because yesterday we saw some decent buying. Gold was bought up quite well. Right now, we're trading above that buy up. Most likely the movement will go upward, but I still don't see a clear setup here. So for now, we'll skip gold. Let it break out of the wild flat range it's currently in. As for the euro dollar, this instrument is also moving sideways. Yesterday, the price action dropped and formed a clear three-wave structure downward. This happened specifically during the release of the US news yesterday. But today, we are currently trading once again directly in the zone of that news. The bullish breakouts are still holding. They haven't been broken. There are also some minor bearish breakouts. Yes, you can see the reactions to them. Here, there are 2 bearish signals from above and 2.5 bullish ones from below. I think we should eventually break out upward. But again, I believe this whole sideways movement is also related to the anticipation of today's pipette news, which is considered important. In my purely unqualified opinion, it would be right if we broke out upward, because the upward pressure is quite strong, and from below we clearly already have a bullish trend. You could say this is a triangle, and you would be right. But in such situations, you just need to bet on a breakout from the triangle, either upward or downward. The fact that we didn't drop after yesterday's news and are now trading even above the prices from yesterday's news suggests that most likely this news will be absorbed, and those who are still holding short positions here will lose money. I'm in favor of growth. Quotes for the instrument are expected to move a significant distance from the current euro prices, and somewhere around 1.300 by Thursday. Typical movements can also be seen, and naturally the main target will be around 1.12 for the pound.
Looking for real trading advantages? InstaForex offers the lowest spreads and commissions. On major currency pairs, our conditions are better. Lower spreads and only $5 commission instead of $7. That's real savings for every trader. And now, let's get back to the market review.
During yesterday's trading session, the pound was significantly stronger than the euro. It is also still holding above the critical long-term breakout support zone established back on February 19th for now. And here bazıcı. It's having a hard time. It is certainly quite tough, but it is important to note that, by the way, just like with the euro dollar, a short breakdown has played out for this instrument, and it was exactly right here at this point. On the other hand, the fact that this previous high wasn't broken is also very important. Well, after all, what day was that? It was February 18th, right? And on that specific day, that entire area remains a solid platform. This actually represents a very interesting target for long positions, whether you are entering from the current market prices or perhaps with the expectation of a breakout, for example, according to this kind of setup. Right now, we have one of the day's extremes. So, if they give either from the current levels or lower, a long, if an impulse pushes towards this long, then a breakout will happen. And then you can look for opportunities to target the seller's liquidity within this zone, and at least until you reach the nearest resistance level.
I also want to remind you that every InstaForex client automatically receives loss insurance. For every $1 of compensation, only $4 of your friend's investments are required. Just submit a request, and your losses will be recovered. Let's continue with the review.
So as for the next financial instrument we are going to analyze, this is the Australian dollar. It continues to grow. It puts pressure on the high for weeks and months. And even after 23 years, I have been waiting for the quote to update to 1.70, 1.579 dollar. Yesterday, the Canadian gave a trading idea for the fall of this instrument, and he walked slowly. There are two mooring break zones here, and so far both are holding up. Yesterday there was a great test, one of them, and below there is already a lot of money that needs to be collected. We had another light mine demolition yesterday weekday. If it holds, it would be interesting to see this downward movement continue and for this instrument to simply collapse further into the abyss. But I remind you that not all targets here have been taken yet. If it doesn't fall from the current levels, it will go to take these A. In that scenario, of course, it is better to look for short opportunities higher up in this zone if it gets tested. That is why we always have not just one plan, but two. One for the dollar-yen and another for the dollar. Yesterday it fell and formed a light three-wave structure during the test of the short breakdown, and today it was also sold at the bottom. Plenty of money. So logically a downward movement would make sense. In other words, it's a good spot for selling, and we're also falling, not just anywhere, but from the short breakdown, the beginning of February. There is a reaction, a small structure, break at the bottom, the nearest buyer liquidity. This all should be taken out. It's a pretty good spot for selling with potential for a downward move. The potential is 4,000 points, which is one of the highest among such instruments in terms of movement range. Well, and for those to whom I owe more, there is. Another zone is 139,598. I can already hear you falling off your trader chairs and some even out of their armchairs.
With InstaForex, you can triple your profit. For every $4 of your friend's investments, you automatically get an extra $1 added to your profit, with no extra conditions.
Let's switch over to oil, friends, and oil. It continues to pay at the highs, just as I promised and pointed out. Earlier, the long break zone was tested yesterday. I definitely don't want to erase these lines. They are going to stay right where they are. Do you notice just how precisely and perfectly everything worked out in this area? By gaining those $2 extra, you can already have a solid position. Let's go ahead and mark it as 230. There you go. That is looking way ahead of schedule. Looking at the recent updates to the highs of the year and the current month, it really is a great spot to be in right now. In reality, it's a simple structure. Those who place limit orders on setups like this make indecent amounts of money. We keep on switching to Bitcoin quite a lot, and Bitcoin is deflating for us, and it's deflating exceptionally well. Why is that? Well, it's because after its massive bullish ambitions, those incredible bullish ambitions, the instrument is currently correcting and is slowly creeping down into the long breakdown zone, which I have carefully marked out here with my analytical pointing finger. So right now we are just waiting for a successful test of this specific area. See, I am already starting to speak in verse, even though InstaForex unfortunately doesn't pay me for my poetry, which is quite a shame. So the movement could amount to not a little, not a lot, but quite a lot, my friends. From 66 to almost 70, that's nearly $3,000 incredible American dollars. For some kind of crypto nonsense, it's not a bad spot. Here you can take a risk with a stop loss set beyond this week's low. Or you can get excited in this zone and try to enter with short stop losses, using, of course, your own most brilliant trading strategy for going long, since there's a signal to go long here.
We also have a great offer. Fund your account and get a 30% tradable bonus. Trade with additional capital and expand your opportunities with InstaForex.
As for the S&P 500 friends and those who watch my reviews, though unfortunately there are not many of you, that is. And yesterday we already made money on the S&P 500 because the instrument clearly reacted to the test of the long break. The instrument shot up almost vertically and immediately gave a very good risk-reward ratio, even better than 1-to-1. And it continues, as long as it stays in the zone above this break, if you're greedy, which you probably are. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching this video. In other words, the instrument has growth potential up to 7,000 points. I mean that specific quote, and the test of this zone has already taken place. So why not take advantage of this opportunity? This week I'm sharing this information with you. H4 is like that. Unfortunately, it exists. Note that Nasdaq also tested the long break and it's in the same spot as well, where the S&P 500 is as well. Friends, InstaForex offers a free consultation with a personal trading consultant. Follow the link in the video description, fill out the callback form, and gain access to exclusive offers and special trading conditions. BRT Plus for risk-free trading. That's all. Trade with InstaForex, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for new reviews.